everyone. Welcome to Out Loud for another arousing conversation with LGBTQ artists from around the world. And today we are joined by the sensational, the sizzling, I can say there's a lot of adjectives I can kind of put in here, but the phenomenal Manda Malina. Manda, welcome to Out Loud.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
You are here today because you have something happening, and when people see this, it may have already happened, but if it hasn't already happened, on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, you are dropping your brand new video. It's been a while coming for your song Her Ocean.
Yeah.
It must feel good to be getting ready to put it out in the world.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, obviously it's been a long time. Like it's been, I mean, not really 2 years, but almost 2 years since the song was released. But it's kind of the song that just keeps on giving. Like it's still my biggest song. People still love it. And I wasn't really sure about what I wanted to do as far as a video, honestly. Like that is the biggest thing. Because I didn't want to do something that was like too obvious because it obviously is a very sensual song, but it also has a lot of love in it because it's about my spouse. So I don't know. I just focused on other songs. I was like, that song just lives its own life. And then I collaborated with my two friends, Andrea and Bia, who are amazing filmmakers. And they're like, should we just do this? Like, it's time. Well, let's do the video to her ocean. So it's finally coming out. I'm so excited.
They nailed it. I will say, where was it shot? I mean, so for folks who haven't seen it, obviously there's water involved,
Of course.
but it looks like it's in a pier area. But was it in? It reminds me of Santa Monica. Was it close?
Malibu. Yeah.
Malibu.
Down to a little private beach in Malibu. And this was like an extremely impromptu photo shoot. We were going to do it one day. And then we realized we don't have time. So we pushed it to the next week. And we didn't have much planned, honestly. It was me and my spouse, Andrea and Bia, and we had my spouse's brother there who helped out. But like that was literally it. We had nothing really planned. It was very spontaneous. Went down to the beach and we had obviously Bia and Andrea had like a vision of like a few shots in mind that they wanted to do because they're just geniuses and know exactly how things are going to look good on the screen. Yeah, we shot it in 4 hours down in Malibu. So it was like very spontaneous, but it turned out so good. I mean, I love that it gives a very romantic feel to it. Like
It's
we could have gone like the very sexy route, but it's just very romantic, and I love that.
Well, let's be honest. There's some sexiness in it, and there's playfulness in it.
Yeah.
It's got an etherealness to it because it almost has that kind of haze to it.
Mhm.
There's definitely that undertones of like a seafoam green, very, very, very light. That's kind of the coloration of it, which of course with your red hair and everything like that just looks amazing. And there's you as you know, the Manda Malina, I am the artist,
Mhm.
which you're always stunning no matter what it is that you're doing or how you look. And there's always a strength, there's always just a power behind you when you're kind of out there. But then there's you, the spouse, the Manda Malina who's in love and has a spouse, and the two of you together, and just kind of, it is really romantic. It is incredibly sensual without it being overt, but there's a sexiness to the playfulness, but
Yeah.
it's just beauty. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful video that, so what if it's been almost 2 years? It needed to
Yeah.
happen. And I think that all of you together just nailed it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I think it's so beautiful. We really wanted to give it like my vision for it was it needs to feel almost like heaven.
Mm.
And the way that they can edit that and make that look on the screen, like it needs to feel very ethereal. And I think they really nailed it. They really nailed it. And just like also, but me and Elena, we have a very playful relationship. I mean, marriage, because we're actually married. I have to get used to saying marriage. We have a very playful relationship to each other. Like it's very easy and very loving. Like we're very kind to each other. And that was something that wasn't like really planned, but like us together just shows that. And yeah, I wanted to bring something more than just listening to the song. And it's obviously about lesbian sex. Like I wanted it to give another layer to it. So I'm very happy with it. Yeah.
Very dreamy is, I guess, a
Yeah,
good
very
word.
dreamy.
Very
Yeah.
dreamy. And I think that, and I, going back and watching some of your other, like your TikTok videos and other videos that you have up when you were doing the photo shoot originally for the single,
Mhm.
that energy, that loving energy that's there and in the video itself, it's the same, like it kind of just carries right through. So it looks like you just did
Yeah.
that all on the same day. But if you look at the dates, there's a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great image to see. And you and I talked off camera a bit about this, about how, there's a lot of folks out there who don't get a chance to see that represented. And to have it and done in a way that I just think my hat's off to you, because I think it's a bit of a chef's kiss moment where you have something to deliver,
Yeah.
and how you've delivered it. I think no wonder it's your highest, because I mean you have 500,000 streams on Spotify
Yeah.
for the song. My assumption is YouTube's about to kind of crack a bit, because once it's out there, I think you're going to have those same people who are going to be watching that video over and over again, because there's not a lot of that kind of content, what you've created out there. You may
Yeah.
be one of the few who are, really leaning into it and saying, we're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're just going to give you the strongest representation of our love as we possibly can.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that there's so many people excited for this video and they've been waiting for it for so long, but just the way you said too, like we need more queer love on the screen. Like just
Absolutely.
one or two movies a year is not enough. Just one song a year is not enough. And we see it all the time. Like there's always straight couples, there's always sexy scenes with straight couples in music videos. And I think that's why the queer community gets so excited when we see something that is not being sugarcoated. Like I love seeing, Kim Petras and Sam Smith doing their thing. And I love Zolita. Zolita's music videos are always incredible with all the like love stories in it. Like I'm obsessed with it, and it's gonna be like my first music video where I really get to showcase like the lesbian love that I wasn't really out with many years ago. So yeah, I think it's gonna make a difference.
I think and to mention Zelita, is really, you, Zelita, Gia Woods, and I had mentioned her to you before. I think women like yourselves are really taking and kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, we're not going back. We're not
Yeah.
we're not sugarcoating anything. And we're not going to let you sensationalize ourselves for the fact of being sensational. We're going to pick and choose how we're going to do it. And if we're going to do it, it's going to be on our terms. I think, Gia has really done that. I think you've really done that. And of course, Zelita's crazy, incredible.
Yeah.
It really just, it's such a strong message, from a female perspective, of
Yeah.
how you're handling your love, your sexuality, and doing it on your terms. And I think that is really a powerful statement, and it's really empowering as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very easy for queer artists like to kind of go the safe route and think about, oh, but this will be censored or like this is not going to work, right? But I think that's also why I mean, sure, straight people can absolutely listen to my music, and I know that some straight people do, but it's like I do my music for the queer community. Like that is who I make the music for. And I always been that way, like in one way or another, that I don't want to censor things. Like I never really bite my tongue, and I never really want to play things safe, you know? So yeah, this definitely will be my most like it's my favorite video I've ever done. More the most important one.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like I do. I think that YouTube is just going to be like just vibrating as people get a chance to watch this video. Again,
Exactly.
not because there's anything even remotely um sexual that what
Mhm.
they're used to in it. It's
Yeah.
just so important. It's such a fantastic piece of videography to
Yeah.
have in your catalog. I think that there's, of course, you got to be proud of it.
Yeah.
um
Thank you.
Now, for folks who are watching this who may know that you're in LA, but you're originally from Sweden,
I am.
and I'm kind of curious if you think, you know Does being from a different country like that, from a country that maybe we in North America think is a little bit more, a lot more liberal, a lot
Mhm.
more, welcoming and open about things. Does that kind of give you a little bit of freedom within yourself, I guess, to know that, where you come from, that's in there?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to move from Sweden in the first place was because I felt like it wasn't as accepting and open
Mhm.
as a lot of people see it to be.
Okay.
Like Sweden is an amazing country. It is very open-minded in many ways. But what I love about, being here is that I feel I'm not going to say America. I'm going to say California, just
Yeah.
specifically the places where we are more accepted. But it's a little bit more accepted to go outside the box and do things outside the box. Whereas in Sweden, you have to stay within the box.
Okay.
So I bring a lot of, like, obviously my Swedish culture with me, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I'm so brave and outspoken, you know. Um, but it's funny because when I was in Sweden, I wasn't out really. I came
Oh.
out here. So I don't know, like, where kind of the red thread is there with the community, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that we in North America, we have probably like it happens with a lot of other places in their vision of North America. Our vision outside of North America gets a little bit distorted in terms of what we see and
Mhm.
what we know. Because
Yeah,
if you haven't been to anywhere, if you haven't lived there, you don't necessarily know. Um,
exactly.
but you're right about California for sure,
Yeah.
especially within the LGBT community and a lot of music that's coming out
Mhm.
of there. I think that you're in a world where there's just so much energy being harnessed around you that it must be like almost like a feeding like system where you can feed off a lot of what's happening there. Do you
Absolutely.
do you find and I know that you know some artists and that do you find that there's a really good supportive network within the artist community?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I I don't go to sessions that much anymore, and especially not with, like, new people, because I feel like as a queer artist, I am very selective with who I work with. Like, unfortunately, a producer that I worked with from quite some time, I felt like his true colors really came out, and I had to, like, really take a stand against, what I believe in and what he believes in. Like, we're just don't see eye to eye. And I feel like many times I do find myself in those situations, especially when I work with straight men, that they don't align with my vision, or as a queer artist, I feel very sexualized. So my circle is small, it's
Mhm.
very small with the people that I work with, but the support within, like, the queer community is incredible. Like, I didn't have a queer community before moving to LA. So that has been absolutely amazing. And I do feel like the LGBTQ plus community in music is also getting bigger.
It definitely is, especially
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, I would
Yeah.
say. And I track, I follow a lot of artists, and there's no shortage of them. And you're seeing a lot more, and you're seeing a lot of folks work with one another, I think, and help one
Yeah.
another introduce each other to either other artists or maybe to other people in the industry. And I'm now
Absolutely.
seeing it on the other side with a lot of like filmers and
Mm,
writers and that kind of thing, where I think that that network is really growing a lot, and I think that that's really great to have that connector that's there.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's so beautiful in the community. Like, we really support each other, because we know what each other the struggles are, to be in
Right.
the regular world, and how, we are a minority. So I feel like there's this sense of comfort, like, being in the queer community, that is really beautiful. So I do feel a lot of support, like, especially connecting with other queer artists. Like, it's like, oh my god, you're one of us, yay, like, let's do something together.
You and I were kind of talking off before we started this a little bit about, I was talking about radio and how, you know, we talked about censorship, and we talked about like how some folks think that when you talk about queer love, it could get, censored on the radio, of which there's nothing explicit in the song itself
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all. That challenge that's there, I know from my perspective of, you know, getting things out there and really vetting things to make sure that, you know, we're not just assuming things are explicit and just not giving them a chance. But from as an artist, that must be a challenge for you, that it must be frustrating, where sometimes you just know that people, just because of the content and maybe the context of it, is going to maybe close some doors for you. But I have to say, as an artist yourself, it does not seem like that slows you down.
Thanks. No, it doesn't slow me down. It doesn't. I mean, I did face, I wouldn't say backlash is the wrong word, but a few comments of her ocean about how it was explicit, and obviously it like shocked a lot of people. And I feel like it's just interesting because it just shows that queer love is still not as celebrated and
Mm.
normalized as we think. Because even queer people was shocked to hear something explicit, even though it wasn't explicit. Like I don't use any explicit words. Um, it wasn't it wasn't even planned to write the song that way, but I realized after it started playing on radio stations by some straight people, I realized that they don't know what I'm singing about. Which actually made it funny to me. I was like, oh my God, this is great because if a queer person hears it, they will know what I'm singing about, but maybe some straight people don't, but this will normalize it. So it is a little, it definitely is discouraging to know that just because, I'm queer, like certain things will be censored or it's not going to be acceptable in certain places. But the more we do it, the more we put our art out there, the more we are being outspoken and like unapologetic, I believe it's going to change. So it's slow, but it's going to change.
And as I've said to you before, we need more spaces for queer art and queer
Yeah.
music to be seen and heard and experienced, and not just by our own community, but that is an important part too, to make sure
Yeah.
that our community knows about our artists. But just in general, it is, you know, love is love, and we love to say that. But when it comes out in song or in, you know,
Mhm.
visuals, sometimes people kind of, you know, back away and say, well, maybe love isn't love, and it's like, no, it
Yeah.
is. It's just you just need to simmer it down a bit.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
need to you need to open up yourself a bit to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the same thing when straight people always say love is love, but I don't really want to see two men kissing, or I
Mm.
don't want to see it. And it's like, why not? Why is that bothering you? Why is it bothering you to see that on TV or hear that in music? I
It's just
hope that people eventually are gonna be. It's gonna be so much in mainstream media that eventually it will just change people's brains, because I feel like we are wired as kids to like, oh my God, there's a gay couple, like it's such a abnormal thing. So yeah, I hope it's going to change. And us queer creators, we just have to continue to put it out there. I
agreed.
mean, I think that's the most important thing.
Um, you have some new music out now. Your album came out in October, which was really a culmination of a lot of what you had been doing. I have to ask though, because I know that you love music videos. Will you now, even though the album is out and Her Ocean is here, do you think you'll ever go back? And this may be just me and my own heart's desire. Do you think you'll ever go back and do a video for Meow? I
um,
love that song. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. It was in the works to do a video for it and it fell through. I love the song. I love the song. To be honest, my thing with that song is the reason I'm intimidated to do a video to that song is because I'm not a dancer.
Oh,
Like that is like full transparency. I'm kind of like I want to do it, but I'm also like, ooh, I'm gonna really have to get a good choreographer because this needs some like sexy pussycat dolls dance choreography. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Like I feel like maybe it will happen.
you can
Yeah,
get around it. If you ever
yeah,
do it, just put yourself in the center on a throne like the queen that you are and just have
yeah.
everyone else dancing around you.
You know what? That's not a bad idea, actually.
Um, so this you've been doing a lot of kind of collaborations with DJs, and you have one out just today
Yeah,
with I Love Rock and Roll. But your
yeah,
most recent single, which it wasn't on the album, was Bad Girl. A little bit of a change in terms of sound, but it
yeah.
makes me think that what's coming next for Manda Malina is going to be a little bit of a change up in terms of direction. Is that fair to say?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I do a lot of collaboration with other artists that aren't necessarily my songs, but I love to collaborate with DJs. So Bad Girl was a collaboration with a DJ from Sweden. And then I had I Love Rock and Roll, and I did a lot of like dance covers. It's really fun to do. It's really fun to do. It broadens my audience too. And you know, I like to think that they just like go to workout classes too. People go to workout classes with this type of music, which I love.
This is
um,
a fact that there's
yeah,
so much, I hate to say money being left on the table when it comes to music, but when
yeah,
you think about doing those covers and you think about working with DJs, some artists need to realize that that is where people go to get
yeah,
their spin, their Zumba, their, you know, all their music for their fitness
yeah.
classes. There's an entire industry there for artists to tap into.
Oh, it really is. It really is. You have to think about like where would people listen to the song? Like what would they do, you know? So yeah, I love it was recent. I've done it before, but it was recently the last few months of 2023 that I really started tapping into like, okay, I'm going to collaborate more with DJs because I love dance music. But yeah, I'm rolling out a new single in about 2 months, and it's called Paper Heart. This is actually the first time I've ever saying that, you know, out in public. So that's exciting. I'm
We got
working
the
with
scoop. We got the scoop.
yeah, like this is the tea. This is like the news. I'm working with a producer called Ash Taylor, who's from the UK, and he is a gay producer, absolutely amazing. And I'm tapping into what I loved as a kid, which is European dance trance music. And I've always loved, yeah, always loved Euro pop. I mean, Kim Petras is really doing it now, but I grew up listening to Ace of Base. I grew up listening to Cascada. And that was, you know, what really made me happy. And the gays love it.
I think it's the
That's what I
next
want to listen to in a club, you know?
I think it's the next kind of thing that's coming around for pop music. And I've been saying that
Yeah,
for a bit, that I'm hearing so much of that 90s Euro pop kind of influence in a lot
yeah,
of records coming out.
yeah,
Disco, you know, has kind of come and it's still around, you know, and still kind of out there. But I think it's the next wave. And I think that's great that you're tapping into that, because I think that people are
yeah.
going to shoot right through the roof.
Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, when I go out, and I'm not really a clubber, but when I do go out in like West Hollywood with my friends, I often get like, ugh, I wish they were to play like Every Time We Touch. I wanna hear Inna. A lot of people haven't heard Inna, but she's like an incredible Euro pop singer. And like, yeah, Mr. Saxo Beats, like I love
Yeah.
all of like you know? So I really tapped that into like this year. I was like, this is what I listen to all the time, and this is where my roots are, you know? So this song is incredible. It's a really, really good song. I'm like just so happy every time I listen to it. So I'm really going back to my childhood self.
I love that, because I mean, as somebody who's a former music retail kid, I mean, I schlepped CDs and cassette tapes and
Yeah,
vinyl, and we would listen to those compilation CDs that would come out. They were huge back in the 90s, you know, like there was all these series of, you know, Euro pop and Euro cuts, these kinds
yeah,
of compilation CDs, and you would hear so much of it. And that music was so infectious, and you could put on a CD from start to finish and have your own party at home. And to get back into that and to have that coming out, I mean, I think about artists like DJ Bobo, you know, going back
yeah.
to the day. And I think it's awesome that you're tapping into that.
Yeah, and I think also I have so many sides and layers to me, and I felt like especially back in Sweden when I was signed, I was there was a lot of pressure to like, no, you have to put yourself in a box. Like if you're going to do one genre, you have to only do that one genre. And I realized that that was always very tricky for me because I was like, I have so many sides to me. Like I'm a pop girl, like in any shape or form, pop music, like Swedish pop music is where my heart is. But I'm also a great singer. So like I have so many layers, right? So Her Ocean is like extremely different from like my new music. But it all has a thread, you know, it all comes down to I grew up listening to Swedish pop. Like I grew up listening to Max Martin, and my writing and my melodies will always sound Swedish pop, you know? So I think it's gonna be a good avenue. Yeah.
Swedish pop is not a bad place to live in, for
Yeah,
sure. And I will
exactly.
say that your facility as an artist, vocally, if you listen to your music, and especially if you listen to, some of your stuff prior to Her Ocean, and then you listen to Her Ocean, you see the range that you have as an artist
Yeah,
vocally, because even if you wanted to, you have the facility to go in and become and create like a smashing ballad. Like
yeah,
you can totally do that. You have, you don't need to use, I guess, the acrobatics as much as, maybe some other artists tap into.
yeah.
They're there, but you use them in a very nuanced way. And especially when you hear you sing a cappella, because I do my research and I listen to you, and a cappella wise, you can hear it. There's a crispness to your voice that totally lends to pop for sure. But
Yeah.
it can give you have the growl to go to rock, but you have the octaves to be able to take it into some other different places if you want to. So the kind of like the world's your ocean in a way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I love to hear that. I mean, I do love to belt sometimes, but that's not even if I can do it, it's not where my heart is, you know?
Mm.
So I like to just, you know, as an independent artist too, you have the freedom to just do whatever you want. Like you have the freedom to write whatever you want and put out whatever you want. And that's what I love about it. Like, you know, I'm honestly just putting out music that I love, and I know that the it's always pop in some way or another. So I feel like it has like a threat to it, and some people might lean more into like, oh, I love more the ballads, or I love more when it's like a little bit more R&B and pop. But I think that the music I'm coming out with now is probably going to be what's most loved by the queer community. I think it's just happiness. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear it,
Yeah.
and I'm excited for people to see this video. It's if it hasn't dropped yet, it's about to drop. So, folks, you need to tune in and make sure that you're following Manda on YouTube and all the socials so that you know when it arrives, because you need to watch it and watch it multiple times over and over and over again,
You have
which
to.
I don't have any qualms about saying I think will happen.
I hope so. February 14th, it'll be out.
Man, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited for everything that's coming out. I love everything that's come already, but you're one of those artists who it's kind of like full service in the sense that, you've got it all going on. The music that you deliver is just it's on point every single time. So I'm just excited for all of it.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy to be here.